Oh hey, welcome to another edition. Hand-laid tracks and 3D printed trains with Socrates. Today we're looking at HO scale curved track. People ask me again and again every now and then about HO scale, and it's huge. I don't use it because I don't have any space, but I can make things that people ask because I'm a nice guy and I like the challenge. Yeah, HO versus N scale, which is kind of small in comparison. This is a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more work in some ways. So I made HO curves, both for normal HO tracks and also the printed version for my printed HO scale free train set that you can get and give your kids a train set. And they're in, these are 22 or this is a 26-inch curve. I have a bunch of different curves and they're all basically the same design and the same build. Or if you want, you can use them all in the kids version because it prints out also as well. I included the same curve as a printed piece so you can give your kids a bigger train set with bigger curves and bring them into the hobby. HO Kids Track. You can get it for free as well. It's one of the things I made. A whole set, number 6 turnout, 90-degree crossing, curves, straights, all sorts of things, re-roller, end cap. Get it for free. Give your kids a present. The rails pretty much come in 18 or 36-inch lengths. I get micro engineering rails. I get them through Fast Tracks in Canada. I imported here into the EU, and I made basically the jigs are this is for an 18-inch piece, or if you have a full 36, and that's in 2 pieces already. But you can have all 4 pieces, and you can make yourself a full 36-inch piece of rail, so you can make a whole long one length of rail into one long curve. That's what you're doing, because if you're doing HO, you clearly have more space than I do. So depending on the piece, they all have to fit within the limits of the bed. So I used M2, which is basically a 256 nut and screw, and they go all the way through it, and that holds the 2 pieces together. And if you put, in this case, 3, this is a 22-inch. If you put 3 of them together, you get your 36-inch piece of solid rail if you want to do one long rail at once. I only made the one piece, and I did it on an 18-inch piece of rail. I'm working on the number 6 turnout at the moment. HO is a whole lot bigger and harder than N scale for the most part. But the process is the same. To make the curve, you have to cut your little ties, cut your ties to length, and then put a gap into them. What I do is I always buy the longest PCB board ties I can get. Again, these are also from Fast Tracks in Canada. It's got metal plating on both sides and an insulator between it. And you snip them off, and then you have to cut them all down to length and also put the tie gap in the right place. For me, that was always one of the hardest tasks. I made one N scale number 6 turnout and hand gapped it, and I said, I'm neither patient or good enough to do it that way. And so I built one of my first jigs I made for this process, this little tie gapper. Basically, you take your ties, you slip them inside, you snip it to length, you file it off with a long file. Nice big one again from Fast Tracks. Slip it in here using a triangle file. Fast Tracks. I got some other ones as well, but a triangle file. You zoop, zoop, zoop down here, and you cut the gap in the tie, and that way you don't have a dead short between the 2 different rails. And again, you can see the tie gap there, depending on the light. So the way my system evolved, I have a round circle on one end, and pretty much you push the rail to the board to the other corner, and this gives you a little bit of space to leverage it out after the fact. When you're done the piece, you have to get it out. I use a little flat screwdriver to sort of up, and it kind of pops out. Gives you, encourages you not to use too much heat, which is also good for your technique. And to make curved tracks, you have to use a rail roller of some sort. I made my own rail rollers. I have a small version I made for N scale, which is the one I mainly use now. It's just basically 2 rollers, fixed rollers, and a movable one that gets in between it. It's a classic piece of engineering technology, and I don't normally use the HO, so this is really my first time to use it to make curves. And I find that this is a little low. If you've already got this from me, I'm going to modify it and raising this up a little bit. But it seemed to work better with the flange up than the flange down. And if you put the flange up, it seems to work a little bit better. And you pretty much just, move this in and out, and you just move it little by little, and it gets a nice curved piece of rail. And once your rail is curved, you set it into the jig, and you can use the clamps to hold it in place. So I made a series of small clamps and little blocks. It fits better with the rails in there because there's less space. Without the rails, there's more space. But you hold the rails and such in place and move. I use the little triangle gears, triangle triple things again. Fast Tracks is tri-gauges, I guess they're called. And that holds the curve in place. And between it, you can then add a little solder. Then I sort of reheat it and re-let it flow. And here's a whole little ASL or a time-lapse version of me doing this curve that I made. And there's also going to be the full version if you want to watch the real-time version as well. So I start by cleaning the rails with, I think it's mineral spirits. In Dutch it's wasbenzine, the Netherlands. And it's amazing how much gunk is on the rails to begin with. I was really surprised just how much goo was on them. But I use my favorite invention, which is the tie cutter and gapper, because you have to cut the PCB boards down to length, and then you have to put the gap in the right place, which is a lot harder than it looks. And I found with the HOs, again, I get the longest ones possible. Oh, these are, I think, 2.5, I guess inches, I'm not sure, but they're 2.5s. And I found that you can get two straight or curved ties per each one. And you kind of flip it and put it in the other way around. And cut off the top with a little file to make it clean. And then with the triangles file, you go through the gaps and you make the gaps all at once. And then when you pull them out of here, you have to hit it again with the big file, just the face of it, just to give it a little bit of a shine. These are pretty shiny to begin with, but it makes it solder that much better. So usually I take 2 or 3 at a time and back and forth on the file real quick and slip them into the jig, and then you're ready to go ahead and solder. And once you get them all in, put your curved rail in this case. And how do you make a curved rail? Well, you need to have some form of rail roller, which is a 2 fixed and a moving bearing in the middle, and this is also available on Colts. And go slowly. It's annoying the way this thing sort of takes forever to get there, and then all of a sudden it goes too far, and that's what happened to me on this one. Now, I don't have much experience with HO rails. I also found that it works a whole lot better with the rail upside down, with the flange on the top seemed to hold it better inside the rail roller. It's really the first curve I've made HO scale. I've always done N scale. So you can see I'm getting really slowly there, and all of a sudden, bang, it goes too far, and that's kind of annoying. I sort of hand opened it a little bit, and then I ran it through the roller to make sure that the curve was straight again. Basically, you can unroll it just as easily as you can roll it, and that's what I ended up having to do here. Like I say, when you get close, you just sort of almost just breathe on the knob to make it a little bit tighter, or you just run it back and forth a few more times. Sometimes it gets too tight, and then you untighten it. It works out all right just as easily. And you can see I'm getting closer to it. And you don't want it to be forced into the gap. You want it to sit pretty close. It doesn't have to be exact, but the more exact it is, the less stress is going to be on the piece, and that's generally speaking good because the solder joint's only but so strong. So I got them all to fit in there at that point, and I use a clamp and blocking system with my jigs. The jigs all have sort of a flange on the end of it, so you can connect the clamp to it, and then the little blocks hold it in place. But you really need the triangle gauges is what holds on the proper gauge, and also the metal NRMA gauge is also an important tool to have to double check things, or it's how it's easy to find where you have a tight piece, because if the trains complain and check it with the gauge, trains are usually right and the gauge is just a tiny bit tight somewhere. Use a little screwdriver to push the ties away from the round end. That makes it a lot easier to get them out after the fact. And the difference between N scale and HO is a lot more solder, that's for sure. And what I do is I pretty much put a little solder into place, and then I apply pressure to the triangles and reheat the joint. And a lot of times, especially in N scale, when you first put it, it's not really sitting down on the rails. And so when you reheat it, it slides down into position. And it's kind of satisfying the way things move. The same as when it's out of gauge. When you reheat a rail, if it's out of gauge and you put the gauges or whatever to hold it in place, the metal NRMA gauge is what I usually use. When you heat it at that point, you hear a little tink, and that's a very encouraging sound because it means that it's now realigned. And it's a micromillimeter. Makes a huge difference for these trains. It's really quite crazy with the tolerances. Of course, I'm an N scaler, so it's probably a little easier with HO. But pretty much you go through the whole jig. I do the outside of the curve first, the round side, in part because when you push it with the soldering iron, it has a tendency to slide the PCB board a little tiny bit, and that way it pushes the tie deep into the corner as opposed to coming out of the corner. I tend to work from the middle and go one way or both ways outwards. I use the Fast Tracks, the point and frog cutters mainly as weights. I ended up making my own printed versions of them. I kind of prefer printed things. One, I make it myself, but two, it's sacrificial. Those metal ones are a lot harder, and the plastic ones, they give up quicker and easier than the metal ones. But they're very, very good as weights, and they work perfectly fine for a point and frog tool. I make my own, but they definitely work quite well. And once you got to the end, this is essentially trying to make it as close as possible. So those are uncut rails, and you can see the outer rail is almost exact length. Then when you get to the other end, that I did the middles out, and then I left the ends for last. You see, it felt tight there. That's why I wasn't sure about that. It didn't want to go in as loose as it should have, so I went back and sort of reheated the joint a little bit to see if it was a little looser, and it felt a little better. When you think it's off, it probably is. And again, it's amazing just how tight it has to, or how close it has to be. The clamps work. They have those curved clamps that I made have tracks on them. I'm going to add a couple different heights of it. Sometime if it's a little loose, you can just flip it upside down, and that'll make it tighter because it's not sitting in the little track grooves. But once you have the one side done, flip it over. Same process goes for the other side. It's actually not that different. Now everything's fixed, so it's a little easier. I want to skip ahead now. So getting to the other end of it, going through, and this is the last one. One of the things I did notice, it was a bit tight, so I'm going to go through and try to loosen it just a little tiny bit. Again, in some ways, you first want to get things down in position, and then your final gauge can be, is easy. You can change gauge once it's on the layout too. If you find something's derailing in a spot, and you check the gauge and you feel something's tight, you just bring your soldering iron right over to the table and hit that one or two ties. And again, if you hear a tink noise, I'm not sure about HO, but in N scale for sure, it goes tink, and that means it moved just a teeny tiny bit, and that can be enough. Again, I'm just holding the gauge in place and just heating the ones around it, and it felt a little better after a few of these spots wherever it felt tight. So really helps. It's one of the nice things about making your own tracks. It's either right or wrong, and if it's right or wrong, it's all because of you. And now I'm making sure that everything's done and all the ties are good. And with a little tiny screwdriver, just slowly, bit by bit, go around through it. It should pop out, especially if you didn't use too much heat. If you use too much heat, use less heat. You might need to use a knife to cut it out if you have to. If you really mess up a spot, you can use a knife to get it cut out of there as well. And then the end should clip right to flush on the jigs because it's made to be the same length as the tie outs, at least the ones I made. And once the ends are cut, you have to sort of give that a good little filing. And I also sort of bevel the tips of it so as to make sure that it goes into the rail joiners easier. And if you take it out of the jig, it usually goes right back in and out again. Once you take it out, it's easy to put it back in. And keeping in mind the jigs have these 256 or M2 bolts holding them together. And I also leave the gaps for the wire in it, so you can put a wire through it, and I make sure you put a little bit of solder in the wire spot before you glue it. And then I use Pliobond, again from Fast Tracks. That's the best contact cement that I've been able to find so far. It's the one that works the best for me. And you put it on the bottom of the rails just a little bit. I leave the half on the ends open so it makes it easy to put the rail joiners on. And then you do the same thing with the tie beds. I find about 10 minutes is enough to let it sort of dry and get about tacky-ish. And then stuff them together and you put a little bit of weight on it, and I let it sit for an overnight. And then you got yourself a piece of track. Make a whole bunch more of them, you got a layout. And this worked out pretty well. This is really the second piece of HO I've ever made. I made the H's straight, it's the only other thing I made. And this is the first piece of curve, and came out pretty well. So you can make different curves. At this point, I think I have the 22, 26, 28, 30, and 34 inch radiuses, but I'm happy to make other ones if you ask. They're all going to have the kids version as well, so if you want to have a giant kids store, or this is actually kind of useful if you want to mock up your layouts, you can print out your same pieces and put these down and see if it's going to fit or not. So this is actually a good way to mock up a layout or give a kid a nice present so they can have a lot of fun and maybe get into the train hobby. Always like good train people before we're old. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check it out on Colts. Make yourself some HO scale pieces. If you want a specific thing in HO, let me know. I might make it. Like I say, I'm working on the number 6 right now. Thanks for watching. Check it out next time. Tiny, tiny train, not an HO, not an HO. So I got really close, so it looks kind of big, but it's not an HO. N scale, N scale, N scale.